These are the most surprising box office flops and successes of the year so far. I think Inside Out 2 is easily the most surprising box office performance of the year so far because yes, I did expect this to be a very big movie and I thought it had a fair chance at crossing $1 billion since the first one crossed just over 850 million. It seemed like a reasonable jump up, but this movie managed to blow away all expectations with the box office performance because not only did it become the highest grossing movie of 2024, it also became the highest animated grossing film of all time, which is just completely insane to me. And besides people just absolutely loving this film and going to see it multiple times and good word of mouth, I think what really helped this is that Disney left it in theaters exclusively for over 100 days. It just came out on Disney Plus now, so it proves if you leave your films in theaters, people will go and see it over time. You don't need to dump it on streaming within a couple weeks. Deadpool and Wolverine's a similar one because I did expect this film to make $1 billion because again, the hype around this thing was insane. This was another record setter. It became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time by over $300 million over second place, which was The Joker, which had insane hype and buzz around it back in 2019, but the fact that this blew past it is crazy. It's just kind of funny because a couple months ago earlier in the year, people were declaring that movie theaters were fully dead. We might never see $1 billion film again, but no, we had two record-setting films just in a couple months alone. Absolutely insane. Let's talk about the obvious one, Furiosa, that obviously has a massive flop. This thing only made over like 180 million with a huge budget, lost a ton of money, and it seems like the Mad Max franchise is never going to get new sequels now. I honestly was not that surprised that this thing flopped. I did think it would do better than it did perform at the box office, but the trailer for this was not very good whatsoever in my opinion, and a lot of my movie buff friends were completely turned off by how it looked. And if you just take a step away from like the internet movie community and film buff side of things, Mad Max is a way more niche franchise that not a lot of the general audience is going to be appealed to because obviously it is just a lot more grotesque than what they're used to watching. But while I really wish this movie did make more because I would love to see more from this world, it does not surprise me that it did not perform well. On the other hand, The Fall Guy, I'm really surprised was not more of a crowd hit. I mean, now that it's out on streaming, people are finally watching it, but I thought people were going to get up and go to the theaters to see Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt and just a fun summer blockbuster, kind of turn your mind off and have fun movie. This is another movie that had an absolutely massive budget and only brought in $181 million worldwide, which if this thing released like 10 to 15 years ago, I feel like this would have been an easy like $500 million film, but movie going times have changed. People still go to the theaters, it's just for different types of movies nowadays, but I really had a blast with this film. Let's talk about Transformers 1. Everybody's calling me out in my review, glazing and praising this movie, saying, hey, you said this movie was going to flop. Yeah, I did predict it was going to flop because I thought the trailer looked terrible and I didn't think people were going to go and see it. And yeah, I was right on that front, but the movie is also incredible. I'm really sad that it's underperforming right now. It had a way lower than expectations for its opening weekend because the budget was between like $75 to $90 million. That's what the reports are saying. It only opened up to $25 million domestically. Now, there are still a lot of overseas markets that Transformers 1 has to open up in. So hopefully with that and the good word of mouth, this movie does get a lot of people to go and see it over the next couple of weeks because I really need us to get a sequel to this thing. I'm sorry, whoever made the trailer for this movie seriously needs to be fired. It turned me off of the movie. It completely misses the tone of the film and what you can expect to get going to watch it. It was an absolute abomination of a trailer that really set this thing up for failure. I also don't know why they released this after every kid went back to school. If you released this at the end of August, I think it would have had a better chance. Challengers was never the movie that's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars, but the buzz around this thing was so insane and the hype online and the memes that were coming out of this, it was absolutely massive. I cannot believe this thing didn't even scratch 100 million. It made just over $90 million, which as I said before, for a movie like this, that's not a bad box office at all. That's actually pretty good, and now it's getting a lot more momentum now that it's finally on Prime Video. I just thought with all the hype around it, it would have been a little bit bigger. It Ends With Us is absolutely hilarious in my opinion in his box office performance because I didn't even know this movie really existed until a couple weeks before it came out, and it seems like nobody in the movie community cares, but hey, the general audience apparently loves their Colleen Hoover books and they went to see this thing. It's made over $330 million, currently sitting at number 11 on the highest grossing movies of the year, and it only came out about a month ago, which is absolutely insane. Now, I've never read a Colleen Hoover book. I've heard very bad things about them, but I guess people like them. Hit the like button and let me know in the comments one of your biggest surprises of the box office year so far, but one for me is Godzilla X Calling the New Empire, because this thing has $560 million worldwide at the box office, but what's really surprising about that is that it's still in the top 5 highest grossing movies of the year. I never would have guessed this thing would have been like inside the top 10, honestly, because I thought we were going to get a lot more bigger hits this year, but it really hasn't happened, and this thing has held its own place.